President Trump posting on social media today that USAID is driving the radical left crazy, and there is nothing they can do about it because the way in which the money has been spent, so much of it fraudulently, is totally unexplainable. The corruption is at levels rarely seen before. Close it down. The shakeup at USAID has left some American farmers reportedly in limbo. They supply more than 41% of the food the aid agency sends around the world each year. 41%. Purchases and shipments of U.S. food aid worth more than $340 million have been put on pause during this freeze of foreign aid. Joining me right now is Nick Levendofsky. He's executive director of the Kansas Farmers Union. First, thank you for joining us. Second, a lot of Americans weren't even familiar with this organization prior to 2025. How do farmers not just benefit, but how are they connected to this organization?
Well, actually, one of the major programs under USAID was born right here in Kansas, Adrian. It's called Food for Peace. And it was from a farmer in Cheyenne County back in 1953 who had the idea that we had this glut of commodities, meaning crops that farmers grow, just sitting here, needing to go somewhere, needing to be fed to people somewhere here in either in the U.S. or the world. And that's exactly what the U.S. Senator from Kansas at the time did. He created this law that was signed into, a bill that was signed into law by then President Dwight D. Eisenhower. So farmers have known about it for a long time because they contribute many of the crops that they grow to this beneficial program.
When you're talking to farmers, obviously, and I remember there were times over the past few years we'd hear about farmers having to basically dump milk down the drain because there was no place to sell it, or cheese just had to go to waste. But obviously, you know, vegetable and fruit produce is another impact. But what are they saying about this shutdown to USAID?
Well, there's a lot of uncertainty right now in farm country. Farm prices are at all-time lows right now. The commodity prices, the prices that farmers are getting for their crops are, like I said, at all-time lows. And the input costs that they have to spend right now, that sprayer, that chemical, is at an all-time high. The fuel prices, the equipment prices, the seed prices that farmers are paying, those are at all-time highs. So farmers are struggling financially all across the country, and this is just one more thing adding to that uncertainty that they don't need right now. And you did mention, you know, dumping milk and having to destroy things. That we saw a lot of that during COVID, unfortunately. We also saw issues with the tariffs that were put in place in the last Trump administration, where farmers, especially farmers here in Kansas, lost their soybean market. And that's another concern that we have with all the talk around tariffs. Luckily, those were put on pause for now with Canada and Mexico, but we're certainly on high alert when it comes to this.
But let's think about all of the different aspects of this. If there is mass corruption in this department, as President Trump has alluded to, if that's the truth, then shouldn't there be a reassessment of where these goods go? I mean, there are plenty, and obviously we're just one country versus the world and foreign aid, but there are people in this country who are not eating enough fresh produce. If we have a surplus, why aren't those foods going to communities right here at home where there are food deserts, where there are not farmers markets on every corner?
You make a very good point, Adrian. And yes, if there is corruption to the level that is being said, then absolutely there needs to be an investigation done, and work needs to be done to remedy that. And we here at Farmers Union work closely with farmers to make sure that food gets to where it needs to go. Here in Kansas, we work very closely with farmers who are addressing food security issues all over the state, but primarily in those urban areas where we're seeing food deserts, food insecurity and that. But it's an issue in rural America too, I'm afraid, because there's a lot of people who are struggling here in rural America who have to utilize, you know, SNAP, for instance, those food programs that are part of the Farm Bill. And it is an issue, and we should be addressing it together in a fashion that is good for everyone, not just those that are overseas, but those that are right here in the country.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.